Yo, welcome to Music is a Day Job. I'm your host, Sean, and this is brought to you by the Concert app. The Concert app is an artist accelerator app that takes artists from opener to headliner to on tour, gives the fan the best experience in independent live music. Now, today's question was asked to me: how many shows should I do? Now, of course, this is a question that really has no as many shows you can is truth, but the thing is I always tell artists, do it when you have a blueprint, and that's one reason why I built Concert, is because it gives you a blueprint to how you should do it and how many you should be doing, so you can understand when you're moving up or when you're just doing shows to do shows. And I always tell artists, like, when you have your blueprint, then you understand what you get from doing a show. Because some artists will compare, like, because I'm not a promoter, neither is Concert. This is not based off a promoter. So, like, some people will do shows and, like, will do shows with us and then do shows with other promoters. Now, here goes the thing about that. Great if you have a benefit from doing that. In my system, your goal is to hit specific numbers so you can get to become a headliner. So then you can get to be a touring artist. So then you can get other perks and different things. So then you can consistently build your career more and more. And that's what I mean by a blueprint. When you just go off and do shows to do shows, there is no blueprint here. So then when you go do a show and you just go to the promoter, you do a show, what is that promoter going to do to help you out, and what was your benefit of it, or just did you just want to rock? And so that then becomes the situation, is whether you feel like, oh well, I might get a better deal doing this show with this promoter, but hey, if you're not really selling 150 tickets, you ain't making no real money, no matter how you cut this. You see what I'm saying? Like, inside my formula, if you were able to put 150 people in a house, you're going to make $1,000. The majority of these people, if you get $3 a ticket or $2 a ticket out the gate, then if you sell 100 tickets, you're doing $200. You see what the logic of this is? But see, I have numbers you have to hit before you can make so much a ticket, and it's a lot of ticket if you make those numbers like that. So, but that's because I have to hold people accountable of bringing a capacity into the building or bringing a number into the building, because these venues want people in there drinking. So, like, that's just life. And then I'm able to assort the different venues, so then you have other places to bring your fans, which a lot of people just send you to the same buildings. So it's like the logic of it doesn't make sense, but I guess if people feel comfortable doing it, I guess you know what I'm saying, do what you do. But I intentionally do these things so then you can have better experience and get the option to be in different places, to travel if needed or whatever like that, if you get to those levels and those stats. Um the other thing about doing shows, as I said, without a blueprint, then there is no goal set, and that's what I try to create with Concert, is these goals set so then you can understand where you're at. So then, for instance, if I'm selling 15 tickets a night right now, how do I get to 30 tickets? I like to put up the content that helps you go, like, hey, this is how I'm getting to 30 tickets. And even if I didn't exist, that's what you want to say to yourself if you're doing shows. How can I get to these next? Can I do a different venue? Can I, you know what I'm saying? Can I move here? Can I do this? Just stacking shows is just stacking shows. Now, you have to come up with a blueprint of what is the goal and when is success start to become what you're chasing. Um, for instance, I heard an artist say to me the other day. He said to me, he's on one of our shows, and then he was also just on a national show. And as I always tell people, we've talked about this before, national shows are great if you already have a huge fan base. If you already have 100 people in the building, and then this national is like 1,000 people in the building, and you got 100 people in the building, those 1,000 people are going to start turning to see who you are, because your 100 people are going to be chanting your music. And then those other 900 are going to think, man, I should listen to this kid. And then you have a chance to turn over fans. But when you get on national shows and you don't have a big fan base, they ain't coming here to see you. So it's just like ambient music, like just sitting there, just playing to them. And see, people don't get that. But then here goes what the kid said to me. The kid said, he said, I'm gonna sell a good bit of tickets, but I sold majority of my tickets for this national. And now, once again, I'll tell you this: if you sold a majority of your tickets, like your majority of your fans or whatever, like that, or whoever you sold them to, a lot of times the reason you can sell a lot of tickets to a national is because those people already wanted to go see that national. So, like for instance, you start getting new people that will come past you because you have the tickets. And you're saying you have the tickets, and these people weren't your fan in general. They are just coming because they wanted to see whoever this national is. So now what happens in this is this. You go on and you go do the national. Now, more than likely, the artist doesn't have any form of blueprint set up. So you're going to go do the national. You had fun because you got in front of the big stage and everything like that. And then nothing. Then it's back to square one until that person either allows you to get onto another national or whatever, just nothing. Now, see, the reason you want to sell more tickets for a show that's like in our system or like just in general with shows like even like independent shows is because independent shows in general have fans there to see independent music. So they're coming with an open mind to say, hey, I might be willing to see this other kid tonight that might be dope. The other side is if you're talking about my business, the reason you want to sell more tickets is because you want to be a headliner now. And that's going to help your career more than anything because then you're compared to that national more than likely. More than likely the national you opened up for, because see the thing is if you were to open up for a big national like 1,000-person venue or higher, chances are you already have buzz. Because for those people, Live Nation, AEG to see you, more than likely you've done tons of work. So you already probably do have those fans. So that's great. But the majority of nationals come to these same buildings that I'm booking you independent artists at. So when you get to headline those, it affects you more when you get to headline because you then look comparative to that artist that was just there last week. And that's all the consumer's mind needs to see. Because then they go like, oh, well, I just seen so and so here. Is this kid as big as that kid? As big as that person? And now this is what your business needs because your artistry is a business. So then you need to see that. And then when you do numbers that way, then it's easy to go on tour. Then you're comparative to every touring artist that exists. So that's why doing shows, you want to make it make sense. And I would hope that you use concert to make it make sense. But on the other end, just make it make sense. You know what I'm saying? Gotta make it make sense. Because otherwise, it's just running to run. You know, like you want to run to get somewhere. And that's the goal of this is to get to that next stop, to get to that next level. That's what the goal of all of this is. So that is a basic breakdown of my answer to how many shows should I do because you'll then learn, of course, how many shows you can actually contain and create that your fans won't think you're oversaturated, and you also can start moving around. I feel at my peak, I'm doing like four shows, four shows a year in every one of my main cities. So if I had like 12, 13, 14 main cities, 15 main cities, even 20 main cities, I'm looking at probably hit them four times a year. So that took me like, yeah, I'd say I'd say I was probably at like 12, 13. Let's say 12 when I was doing four times a year. So like 12, it's like 48 shows a year. That's what I was probably doing. I was probably doing 48 to 60 shows a year at most. I think that's probably around the amount. Because I'd hit all the places four times around that. And that's how it worked out for us. But you could do more because I've heard people doing way more shows than that. So you could do way more. You can, sorry, because majority of our career has always been on Fridays and Saturdays, which is, you're going to be like, he's lazy. No, I wanted to come home. So Fridays and Saturdays was my days. Then I was doing shows sometimes Thursdays. I know artists that do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so then you give your chance to, you know what I'm saying? If you're going 3 months on, that's already like 90 shows. So it's like if you're doing that, that's already 90 shows. So it's like you can, I wasn't that level yet, you know what I'm saying? But I made money, and I figured out a lot of stuff, and I figured out formulas. So that's my answer to that. So once again, this music is Day Job. I'm your host, Sean. This is brought to you by the Concert app. Of course, like, comment, and subscribe so everyone can get this information. Also, Concert is in multiple states right now. It's in Utah, Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, California. It will be in California and Texas very soon. So look out for the Q2s, and those Q2s are the conferences where we talk about music as a day job, and also using the app. And artists in these areas start looking for shows and start getting on so you can get these shows, and you can get on shows and start building your career. If you're not in these areas, then of course tell everyone to get on the app in your area so we can start seeing the demand, and of course we can start getting out there. um and if you have venues, and this is anyone, if you have venues in any of these, the states I named, or even states that we aren't in, start connecting us to venues, because then it makes it easier for us to help artists start to grow and build that community. So this is Music is Day Job. I'm your host, Sean, brought to you by the Concert app.